right, welcome to episode number 1 of the REM Pod. That was Tower in the Dark by Neuron Spectre, kind of our unofficial theme song. He has an awesome catalog of music at neuronspectre.bandcamp.com. He just released a new single and brand new merch, so I would go check that out. All right, this is something I planned on doing since day one of starting the channel. The first time we actually sat down to do a podcast, we realized we had nothing to talk about. We had maybe gone on one investigation and we kind of just sat there and stared at each other. Now that it's 2 years later, almost to the day, 2 years later that we've started the channel, I thought now was a good time as ever to start one. The way our channel is set up, we do the investigation where we really focus on the night and what we captured. Then we have the Paranormal Possibilities playlist where I actually go in depth and analyze each piece of reported or supposed evidence that we catch. And with this podcast, it gives me or whoever a chance to actually go even further in depth about any topic we'd like, any investigation. It just actually gives us the opportunity to discuss a little further. So on this podcast, I'd like to pick a topic and then go over some pieces of video that's not ours and kind of get an overall feel for what it could be, if it's authentic, if I think it's staged, etc. This episode's topic is going to be the Necrophonic App. Now, before we begin, I think I have to give some type of disclaimer that these are my opinions. They may or may not be factual. Nobody has paid me one way or the other to state these beliefs, and yeah, hopefully that's sufficient. So the Necrophonic app is an app that you can download onto your phone. I believe it originally started on the iPhone, but today we'll be looking at the Android version. So the Necrophonic app was developed by a company called Chill Seekers. You can see that they have a few apps on here, but their most popular seems to be the Necrophonic. It's listed at $9.99 and claims to be an ITC app used for spirit communication and EVP research. So in the description, it reads it has 8 sound banks made up of phonemes. Probably not saying that right. Partial words, reverse audio, foreign languages, and other parts of speech that can help spirits communicate. Besides some basic phonetic sounds, there are no real world. There are no real words or phrases contained in the banks. These sound banks play in a similar way to that of my other app, Spiritus Ghost Box. But instead of 4 sound banks, Necrophonic has 8. It also reads that it has a white noise sound bank, and it lists 2 audio effects. This app does contain echo and reverb audio effects. These have been proven to be the best effects to apply to ITC sessions. It has a 3.7 out of 5-star rating. So, we've used the Necrophonic app in the beginning of our channel. We tested it out. We took it on over 5 investigations that I can think of. And at the beginning, it did seem like we were getting intelligent responses. But the more that we used this app, the more it kind of felt like these weren't real or genuine responses from anything. What really drove the nail in the coffin was receiving repetitive responses. 2 of the responses I can remember offhand that we have repeat audio of are behind you and other room. This really made me suspicious of the Necrophonic app, and after discussion, we just stopped using it altogether. I've always been curious, though, as to what the source code might say, if there's anything in it that would prove one way or another if anything weird is going on within the app. I do have an associate's degree in programming, but that is not what I do for a career. I'm more on the IT side. I know the very basics of programming. There's thousands of people that could probably read this code better than I can. So don't take what I'm saying to heart. We are going to go through the source code that we can read. A lot of it looks like it's set to private methods and functions and classes and all that. I can talk a good game when it comes to programming, but honestly, it's been a long time since I've actually applied what I learned. But I didn't want to let that deter me from actually taking a look and seeing what we could find. I have to find what I used to read the class file. All right, so using javadecompiler.com, first off, from the information I could find, it is legal to look at the source code of any app, any application that's on your phone. It's your right as a user, a consumer, to see what you're actually installing on your phone. So as far as I know, what I'm doing right now isn't illegal, but we're going to find out. So this is the APK folder for the Necrophonic app that I downloaded, and this is the classes folder. So I guess we'll get to learn a little bit about apps. A class file is a compiled Java file created by the Java compiler. It contains bytecode, which is binary program code that is executable when run by a Java virtual machine. So right away in the folder, we have the classes.dex file. And according to one of my favorites, Stack Overflow, the class.dex file is to make an APK file, a program for Android, is first compiled. Not to bore you, but we'll go over this very quickly. So when you open up the Necrophonic folder, this is what you see. The classes.dex file we will be looking at, and that is because, as stated on Stack Overflow, to make an APK file, a program for Android is first compiled, and then all of its parts are packaged into one file. This holds all of that program's code, resources, assets, certificates, and manifests file. Well, the manifest is right there. So as we just read, this should be all of the app itself. I have never developed an app. I can read Java a little bit, but these are all the files that combine to make the app and help it run. So I'm going to speak very ignorantly from this point out. So within the classes.x, we go down this pipeline to this fmod audio device. Fmod audio device, I think, kind of looks at what you're using to listen to the audio, speakers, microphone, stuff like that. A lot of these variables, they're set to private and they have these odd names. Maybe these are the different sounds in the sound bank. I can't tell because of these names. As you can see here, I believe it's called a method release audio track. And it's looking to see if this thing does not equal null, nothing. It looks at its state, which I'm not sure what the state would be. Play, pause, something. It must be equal to 1, and then it stops. Otherwise, it releases, and then it returns to a state of nothing. And it's hard to tell what's really going on because they're named just kind of oddly. I don't know if these are each sound banks, because I do count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 different variables. So these are not the sound banks, probably. Now, right under this, we have another method And this is a loop. While this is this, it's going to do this, otherwise this, or it's going to set all right, I'm very rusty. Under this, though, it is a loop, and it's telling here to here, this is all a loop. And I guess in my mind, why is it looping? Honestly, right off the bat, I'm not the biggest fan of ITC communication. I believe the only thing we really use that could be considered ITC is our spirit box. I forget what ITC actually stands for, instrument transactional communication, something like that. But I think basically it means you're using an instrument device to capture or interact with spirits. Or I guess not capture spirits. This isn't Ghostbusters. Capture audio given off by a spirit. But I guess it's a little odd to me that this loop exists. It seems like it's just looping. It just seems like it's looping these different sounds, and the sound it picks is reliant or is determined on these variables being something. They have to equal a certain thing. It looks like some math is thrown in here to get those equations, get those results. And then when a certain criteria is met, it releases the audio track. So when it comes to something like the Ovilus, it states that different levels of energy sets off something within the Ovilus itself, and that picks a certain word out of a dictionary dependent on the wave. God, I don't know. How does Ovilus work? Yeah, so when it comes to something like the Ovilus, words are voiced from the onboard dictionary based on environmental readings. So as far as I know, within the Ovilus, there's no code to loop these words to, I don't know, there is obviously code to trigger it based on, I'm guessing, maybe EMF, how high an EMF reading is. I'm not sure. But with something like the Necrophonic app, this loop runs and it keeps running, I think, as long as you have it, set to play. Now, what really caught my eye is this one, start audio record. We have another method down here, stop audio record. Now, as far as I know, the Necrophonic app does not ask for permission to use the microphone, so I assume that it's not using the microphone. But I don't understand why they would label these methods start audio record and stop audio record. This doesn't confirm that it's recording your voice. I do know there was a few instances, though. I can remember investigating at the Red Rock house in Red Rock, Arizona. This was somebody's actual home they just moved into within the last year, and we were there to investigate some reported orbs. But we had the Necrophonic app running throughout the night, and the gentleman's name, the owner of the house, was Ray. And I believe we started asking the app, does anybody here know Ray? Or I remember we said the name Ray a few times. And it seemed like almost immediately after we get Ray through the Necrophonic app. So that combined with this method, start audio record, stop audio record, I don't know if it's recording outside of the phone or not. So nowhere on the landing page for the Necrophonic app does it say how do the spirits use this app to communicate. Like I said earlier, it says it's an ITC app used for spirit communication. But unless I'm overlooking it, it never says how. It just kind of says what the app is and what it has. I actually emailed Chill Seekers at this email address, I'd say about 7 days ago, and I haven't heard back yet. Pretty simple question. I just wanted to know how the spirits are using this app to communicate. And really all this tells us is that it has 8 sound banks and it plays clips of partial words, reverse audio, etc. It never actually states that it communicates with spirits. Besides right here, it is used for spirit communication. But it doesn't say this is how it communicates with supposed spirits. So it kind of seems like it's implied and it's not very direct as to how it actually accomplishes the ITC research or ITC communication that it states it does. There's a lot more code within this APK, but I'm not 100% what it means. It looks like it's built within the Unity software. It's a software that you can develop apps with. I've messed with it a little bit to make a little game 3-4 years back, but I'm not familiar enough with Unity 3D to actually sit here and break this down for you. It would be cool to find somebody that did know 100% what they were talking about, and maybe that would be a cool follow-up to this episode. But all these files could just be loaded by default. It looks like there's some VR stuff, which, as far as I know, the app doesn't use any virtual reality aspects. So that's about all the time I'd like to spend speaking on the Necrophonic app. From what I can see, the Necrophonic app is not used for spirit communication. It looks like it's used for fun, to kind of creep you and your friends out. If I ever saw somebody use this app, I would probably give them the benefit of the doubt. They probably just kind of went off of what somebody said, or they read this kind of vague description of the app, bought it, and then they use it. And when using this app, you know, you can go on YouTube and look up different videos and get the audio clips. It's not crazy to think that your brain tries to put these words together. Our brain is constantly trying to make sense of the world around us. But how is the spirit using this app to communicate? That's the question that I don't think we'll ever really have an answer to. Because the only way I can see a spirit being able to use this app to communicate, they would have to go in here and change the code around to play the specific audio clips together to make something that you could understand. And as far-fetched as spirit communication is in the first place, this just seems to take it to a whole nother level. Another argument might be that the sound comes out of the phone and then the spirit manipulates the audio before it enters your ears, I guess. So what we can see from the code, yes, it is looping random sounds. How does that help you communicate with a spirit? I have no idea. And while it says there are no real words or phrases contained in the banks, that's hard to believe, honestly, because we've caught in the same phrase more than once. And if I can find those, I will put them right here.
Okay, we're here.
What the?
Here.
What the?
Is that same behind you thing?
I think it says it once every time we use it so far.
So in conclusion, do I think that the Necrophonic can be used for spirit communication? No, I don't. Do I think it's an app that loops sounds randomly? Yeah. And that's about all I gotta say about that. So now let's look at some evidence that I would like to think is pretty credible and pretty crazy at the same time. So I found this randomly on Facebook. This is from Fast and Lucky Paranormal. It looks like they're out of California. And this is at the Birdcage Saloon in Tombstone, Arizona. According to the timestamp, it's from 2017. If you're only listening, they seem to be on the stage of the saloon. I've taken the day tour through this location. We haven't had the chance to investigate here yet. It seems like he's kind of just standing there looking around the camera, slowly pans in on this dude as he kind of looks around. I'm not sure if that's a GoPro he's holding, but it looks as if his shirt gets pulled. The back of his shirt gets pulled as he's facing the other direction. Now, this is, I think it's pretty credible. I mean, I'll be honest, when I see paranormal videos on TikTok, on YouTube, the first thing I look for is how is the video kind of set up? Looks like a static cam, doesn't move, and he's kind of standing directly in the middle of the frame. That raises a little bit of a red flag, and the way this video continuously moves in is a little odd, but it also zooms out at the end of the clip, so that's not too crazy. I mean, to make this shirt get pulled, you would have to have something attached and have it running this way behind him. And at least from this video, it doesn't look like that's the case. It looks as if he doesn't even notice the first couple pulls. Actually, it does seem like he does notice the pulls. If you watch his entire back here, it looks like his back moves with... His whole back moves with that first pull there. Or it's just his whole shirt moving. That second one, he definitely feels. And it's hard to tell if there's a third one. I think this is a pretty cool catch. I mean, just judging off of the video, it's not the greatest quality, but it looks pretty legitimate, and give him props for getting that on video. The second piece of evidence I wanted to go over is from Paranormal Roadtripp out of Texas. This is honestly one of my favorite paranormal channels on YouTube at the moment. It's an awesome mix of some paranormal captures, and he'll go around town, kind of show you what the entire town looks like, maybe stop, grab a bite to eat at a cool local restaurant, and kind of just talk about how they feel about their findings. This piece of evidence is from years ago. I believe it's 10 years ago. In this video, they're investigating the Horlock House in Navasota, Texas. A group of people are in the attic and they're using walkie-talkies to communicate. Let's take a listen, watch thing.
What the hell?
What is that?
Hello, who is this? Hello.
Don't worry about it. They don't say anything.
Yeah, that's me.
Ask them if it's calls. Tell them we heard a female. Good girl calls.
Did a girl come on earlier?
No way.
We just heard 3 hellos.
A girl.
First off, it's possible that a nearby child has a walkie-talkie, turned it to the same channel they're using, and, just said hello. The odds of that are actually kind of high. I remember as a kid doing the same thing with passing truckers driving on the highway behind our house. But being that it's kind of late at night and they only say hello once, it's a little odd. Maybe they thought they were in trouble. But this kind of feeds into the spirit box and that type of radio communication. Is it possible that a spirit could communicate with somebody over the white noise of a walkie-talkie if it's tuned to a certain channel? I don't know. I've never tested it, and it kind of intrigues me. Let's take another listen to it.
What the hell?
What is that?
What the hell?
What is that?
I guess one major thing that I'm hearing too, as soon as the voice says hello, you hear the ba-bip or whatever, the tone that signifies the other person on the other end of the transmission has ended communication. They've let go of the button on the walkie-talkie. We'll listen again. So I'm not sure how densely populated this town is, but even a kid from a few blocks away could be trying to get a hold of a friend on the same channel. I don't know what year this is from, and cell phones probably weren't as popular. So probably a kid on a walkie-talkie, but the crazy side of me really thinks it would be cool if it wasn't, and it would be possible to, speak with a spirit through the white noise of a walkie-talkie. Well, the camera died, one of the lights died. I guess that is a cue to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of the REM Pod. I think I'll try to put at least one out a month. If you have any topics that you would like me to discuss or look into, anybody you'd like me to interview, please reach out on Facebook, Instagram, or even our website, REMinvestigations.com. I really appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe.